Last night, I got to see Edgar Wright's newest film, The Running Man, and here are my thoughts. The film follows a man forced into a nationwide televised manhunt where everyday citizens are encouraged to track him down for fame, wealth, and entertainment, turning survival into the world's most watched blood sport. And that's all I'm gonna say. This will be a spoiler-free review. So let's get into what worked, what didn't, and why this movie has already become one of the most hotly debated entries in Edgar Wright's filmography. Let me be completely transparent. I haven't seen the original Schwarzenegger film, nor have I read King's novel, so I can't speak to accuracy or faithfulness the way longtime fans will. But honestly, that made the experience more exciting. I walked in with a blank slate, no expectations, no comparisons, just the promise of an Edgar Wright project based on a Stephen King story in a year that has basically turned into a full-blown King renaissance. We've had The Life of Chuck, The Monkey, The Long Walk, the newest It TV series, and now this. For one of the greatest storytellers of the last century to be getting this much renewed attention is already a gift. But pairing that with Edgar Wright, a director with a visual voice so distinct you can recognize it 2 shots away, I was sold instantly. And what's wild is that this might end up being his most divisive film to date. And after watching it, I can definitely understand why. I'm nowhere near calling this his worst film, far from it, but I can absolutely see where some of those complaints might come from, considering what people expect from Wright. It plays with tone, structure, and pacing in ways that might throw some viewers off, even though I was completely locked in. To me, it was an absolute blast from start to finish. A glossy, sharp-edged, high-energy ride that had me grinning more often than not. Coming into this with zero attachment to the original, film, or novel, I was honestly surprised by how instantly engaging it was. It looks great, it moves fast, and from the very first set piece you can feel Edgar Wright's slick, rhythmic fingerprints all over the place. Even when the film stumbles, it never stops being fun, and that counts for a lot in a premise this wild. One of the biggest highlights for me, by far, is the acting. Glen Powell gives what I genuinely think is his best performance to date. He shows more emotional range here than I've ever seen from him. He's charismatic, intense, vulnerable, and somehow still funny without undercutting the stakes. Coleman Domingo, despite having noticeably less screen time, is absolutely electric every second he's on screen. He injects such life into the film that it genuinely elevates entire sequences. The kind of presence where a scene immediately feels sharper the moment he steps into it. Without the strength of these 2 performances, this movie wouldn't work nearly as well as it does. Visually, the film is a knockout. The cinematography is sleek, colorful, and composed with the kind of precise energy Wright is known for. It's stylish without being messy, bold without being distracting, and the VFX, thankfully, are strong enough to sell the world without ever pulling you out of it. You can tell a lot of thought went into making the world feel tactile, even amid its more heightened moments. Now, addressing the complaints, yes, I can absolutely see why some people think this ranks among Wright's weaker works, but honestly, his weaker work is still miles above director's best. Compared to his last film, this actually feels stronger, at least on a filmmaking level. That being said, there is a more studio-polished feeling in certain scenes, especially a particular dream sequence that feels more like something a studio mandated than something Wright organically conceived. Still, the humor, the pacing tricks, and the tonal balance all carry his unmistakable touch. Even when the movie gets louder and broader, you can still feel Wright steering the ship. If the film falters anywhere, it's in its thematic backbone. The dystopian commentary leans a little bit generic, familiar ideas explored in familiar ways, and not always with the sharpest Wright usually brings. It's not bad by any means, just not particularly fresh, and sometimes even a little tiring in how predictably it plays out. But the film makes up for it by being wildly entertaining. This is one of those movies where the pure fun of the experience outweighs the fact that it doesn't have much new to say. At the end of the day, The Running Man is a hell of a ride, Flawed, sure, but effortlessly enjoyable, beautifully made, and powered by some genuinely fantastic performances. I had a great time with it. Sorry I had to rush this one out. You'll be getting 2 videos in one day, so hooray! Till next time, keep watching movies, keep noticing the little details, and remember, please screenshot pictures of Glenn Powell's ass.